Welcome to another video from Roland Mösel, founder of planetary engineering group Earth. Mankind at crossroads. Save, restrict, renounce until the terrible end, or worldwide wealth and planet renovation. In the year 1972, a very successful horror novel was published. Here is the central plot of this horror novel. Resources go down. Industrial output goes down. Population reaches a peak, and after this, billions of people die. And all because in this horror novel there is no renewable energy beyond biomass and hydropower, and there is no recycling. If there were no renewable energy, if there were no recycling, then saving, restricting and renouncing would be the only possibility for a slight prolongation of existence. As at every successful literature, there are fan groups, or, for example, fan groups of Star Trek. They come together clothed in the uniforms of the Starship Enterprise and make parties and so on. And also the fans of this horror novel made fan group actions. Here is the most terrible fan group action. They made 1980 these Guidestones for reason, what they call reason. Humanity should be limited to 500 million people. Oh. What to do with all the other? It's terrible. In 1991, the passive house was introduced, and also I started working on my first project, GEMINI inhabited solar power plant. Let's compare both concepts. The passive house. Use significantly less energy for room heating, but where does the remaining energy for room heating come from? Where is the energy for hot water? Where is the electricity for the household? Where is the energy for mobility? Where is the energy for industry? And how do you heat a passive house to a senior-friendly 25 degrees Celsius? Oh, it's not I to say 25 degrees as senior-friendly. This is the Salzburg country government. When you make an energy certificate for a normal house, you have to calculate it with 20 degrees Celsius. But if it's a house special for seniors, you have to calculate the energy certificate with 25 degrees Celsius. So now let's compare this to the GEMINI inhabited solar power plant concept I made at the same time. To make an adequate contribution to the total energy supply of a country, even if that country is densely populated, far northern industrial state like Germany. To supply as much electricity as possible with as little own usage of electricity as possible. And what is adequate? I made here my first calculations about it. At this time, Germany was using 500 terawatt hours of electricity per year, and I thought, we change cars to electric cars, we change making fire for room heating to heat pumps, and also heat pumps for hot water, and all these changes. And after this, we need 1,200 terawatt hours per year, and this divided by 80 million people, multiplied by 2 people per house. And I said, okay, I have to design this house for 30,000 kilowatt hours of yearly yield. 1992 in February, I visited first time a housing fair, the Austrobau housing fair in Salzburg. And I was going around with papers about my project, and I was talking with people there. And there was one architect, and I explained him the GEMINI inhabited solar power plant, and he told me, oh, this is not good with the steel inner framework. I don't like it. It's not good for living there when there is a steel inner framework. And I told him, it's not about details, it's about a concept how we supply in the year 2050 energy for all the mankind. And he said, oh, don't make sorrow about this. In the year 2050, there will be only 500 million frugal, environment-friendly people. This is no problem to provide energy for these people. I had a similar experience at another fair booth. This was from Salzburg country government, and I talked with him, and he said, oh, all the energy to produce this house, and this is terrible, and and I told him, yes, but we need energy to supply in the future. Fossil energy will be at the end, and we need energy. And he told me, oh, that's not a problem. In the year 2050, there will be only 1 million frugal, environment-friendly Austrians left. And it's no problem to supply these 1 million people with energy. Oh, I was shocked. Later, I come back to this man, and I told him, oh, how can you have such terrible future visions? You are a human. Why? And he started to become very red, and he shouted on me, I would more like to be an ape than a human, because the human had invented the atomic bomb and has not deserved to survive. Oh, I was completely shocked about this experience. Let's imagine at this time I would have asked an Star Trek fan about GEMINI solar power plant. He would maybe told me, oh, don't worry about the energy supply in 2050. Humanity will be completely adequately supplied with fusion power plants. Whereas I could say, oh, do not put all eggs in one basket. Fusion power, nice, but photovoltaic we have just right now developed. So, yes, no problem. What would a Lord of the Ring fan say to the GEMINI inhabited solar power plant? Maybe don't worry about the energy supply in 2050. Magic, of course, is only fantasy, but quite real is free energy. And the RQM, space quantum engines. With that, we will have electricity in abundance. Oh, I would say, okay, show me this space quantum engine. Now I more like to believe in photovoltaic. I can see a photovoltaic, I can put a voltmeter on it, I can see it produces electricity, and I never have seen a space quantum engine, but a normal discussion, okay? And what was the reality when I asked a fan of this fantasy horror novel? Don't worry about the energy supply in 2050. Until then, the very largest part of humanity will die. Preferable the environmentally unfriendly, not frugal people will die. The remaining 500 million frugal, environmentally friendly people can easily be supplied with energy from hydropower and biomass, which, as we know, are the only permissible forms of energy in our fantasy horror world. Complete madness. A standard narrative of these people is: more streets generate more traffic. More power generation generates more power demand. Each more must be thought. Which is the consequence of this each more must be thought? Bild der Wissenschaft, Picture of Science, a famous German magazine about science, in August 1997. We could have, with enough research and investment, in 4 years lithium-mangan batteries for only 155 euros per kilowatt hour. Really great news. This would make electric cars possible. This would make day-night balancing of photovoltaic possible. Would this not be a great target for demonstrations? We demand more research in new batteries. We demand more investment in battery factories. We demand a fast change to electric vehicles. We demand batteries for day-night balancing for photovoltaic. Would be great, but think any more has to be thought. And these people thought the combustion engine car has not to be replaced by the electric car, only by the bicycle and public traffic. And also the electric car is something terrible. Oh, really? Oh, I have pictures about this. This happened in Berlin, November 2008. Remember the plot of the horror novel? Renewable energies can only be from biomass and hydropower, and so electric cars can only be charged by coal power and nuclear power. And so they are very dirty. And so Greenpeace made a protest against electric cars. In 2013, my second book, Calculation Error, Mankind at Crossroads, Self-Destruction or Limitless Future, was finished in German and English. And so I thought it would be very good to introduce this book in Warsaw, Poland, at the 19th UN Climate Change Conference. I made many contacts, nothing happened. So I thought maybe I make a counter conference in Salzburg about this. Again, I made many contacts and nothing happened. Why? Because there had been two important messages in this book. With a faster transition to renewable energy, we would have a higher standard of living. Higher standard of living? Oh, terrible. Our living standard has to be reduced. Save, renounce, restrict. Oh, didn't remember. And radically faster expansion in renewable energy and electric mobility. Oh, remember, every more has to be fought. This has not to be happen. Then something grows fast. This has to be stopped. And so all these environment groups did not support my mission. They had been against it because of this terrible philosophy in this horror novel. It also influenced the printing of my book. In autumn 2013, I had to create the 4 most important pages of my book, the 4 pages with advertising to pay for the printing of the book. And every day in the morning I read Photon newsletter, oh, this good company bankrupt. Oh, this company also bankrupt. Look on these statistics. You see the big fall of the German photovoltaic industry in the year 2013. And so I had very much difficulties to have the ads in my book because most of the companies had been in very bad shape or already bankrupt. Why did this happen? Because anything growing has to be thought. And so the green dogmatism was the electricity demand has to be lower than today. And the photovoltaic industry has not to be grow so fast. This should be only 70 gigawatt. Only 70 gigawatt for all Germany, and the enemies of the photovoltaic thought, oh, we make this target our method of destruction. There should be a limit in the pathway to this limit to say 70 gigawatts, and we make all to make this happen, and they reduced very much the furtherance for solar electricity, and the German photovoltaic industry collapsed. I made a video about this, green dogmatism and the destruction of the German photovoltaic industry, all based on the ideas of this horror novel. What is really about it? Up to 70 gigawatt photovoltaics in Germany. Here a 40 kilowatt photovoltaic system, and we can connect it with a 230 volt 3-phase current cable to the grid. But there is a limit, only 70 gigawatt, because you cannot switch off more caloric power plants as are switched on. And the next phase is 70 to 300 gigawatt of photovoltaics in Germany. Here we have a 100 kilowatt hour battery more, but we need now only 25 ampere 3-phase current connection to the grid. But terrible. Oh, there is a battery. This battery has to be produced, and every growth has to be stopped, has to be fought. So, until now, there is in Germany no furtherance for big batteries to put the electricity in the grid as the demand is. No, to put the electricity in the grid when the sun shines, not when the demand is. There can be a big difference. And that's what's beyond 300 gigawatt of photovoltaic. Then we need also summer-winter balancing with power to methane, with big underground methane storages. Germany has already 25 cubic kilometers of this, and combined cycle power plants. This means there is a gas turbine, and the waste heat of the gas turbine powers a steam turbine. All this did not happen. They are already only at, put the electricity in the grid, and storage is too much growth. Let's look here, 3rd March this year. This is a table about electricity prices on the spot market and import and export of electricity in Germany. You see, when there are high prices, Germany imports electricity. When there are low prices, Germany exports electricity. And that's why, the storage. We don't like storage because the storage has to be produced, and save, restrict, renounce. We save the storage. We work without storage. And there is a study, I made a video about it, about ways to a climate-neutral energy system for the year 2050. And again, much too few batteries, nearly no storage systems. And so also in this scenario in the year 2050, Germany exports electricity when it's cheap, Germany imports electricity when it's expensive. All is a consequence of the plot of this horror novel and the ideas created by this. Let's look on the motivations to make much electricity and to feed this electricity in the grid when the demand is high. There is in German a law, the EEG, energy feed-in law, and there is nothing for storage. You make electricity, you put it in the grid immediately. No storage. So maybe a house owner is motivated for 10 kilowatt photovoltaic and 10 kilowatt hours of batteries only for own usage, and so the market for batteries is very small and the prices are very high. But what would happen if there would be in Germany a possibility to deal on the spot market for electricity? Or spot market prices are today very nice. And so a house owner would be motivated maybe for 40 kilowatt of photovoltaic and 100 kilowatt hours of batteries. Far more than own demand, but not everybody has a big roof, and so he has to support also the people with very small roofs, living in a high riser and so on. You think this crazy idea to reduce humanity is over? This was maybe 30 years ago and now people are more normal. No, it's not over. In beginning 2021, I gave an old friend and farmer in Austria a vertical garden aeroponic tower to test it, to make a time-lapse video about growing fruits and vegetables. And in August 2021, I called him and I thought, oh, maybe the first time-lapse video showing the plants growing is already underway or finished. And he told me, no, I have stopped all these experiments. It's not biological. And I told him, oh, yes, maybe it's not biological, but because of climate change, the output of agriculture could go down, and we have to have higher efficient systems to provide food for all humanity. And then he told me, oh, that's wrong. There will be only 2 billion people surviving, and these 2 billion people I can provide with healthy, natural, biological food. Oh, he thinks it's a great idea that many billion people die, so he has no problem with giving food, producing food for the rest of 2 billions. It's a crazy idea. It's also based on this horror novel and this fan action with this 500 million limit stone for mankind in Georgia, this Guidestones to disaster. Now let's look how a real energy transition in Germany looks like. I made a video about it. And sure, not 70 gigawatt of photovoltaic. No, in this video are 1,400 gigawatt of photovoltaic, 20 times more. And sure, there are enough batteries for day-night balancing, 4,000 gigawatt hours, and there is enough for summer-winter balancing by power to methane, by underground gas storage, and by combined cycle power plants. What means planet renovation? To reduce the CO2 in the atmosphere from just right now 420 ppm to 350 ppm. To filter 1 kilo CO2 out of the atmosphere and split it in carbon and oxygen, it requires about 6 kilowatt hours of clean electricity, otherwise it makes no sense. It has to be absolute clean produced electricity, and now let's multiply it by 50 billion tons a year, and these are 300 petawatt hours of electricity, only for filtering out CO2 from the atmosphere and split it in carbon and oxygen. And there's always a civilization, and all this equipment has to be built. And with all this, we are maybe at an electricity consumption of 600 petawatt hours per year, 20 times more than the current electricity production of mankind. And all this will be done nearly only by photovoltaic. No other energy system has enough possibility to make a part of this 600 petawatt hours. A sane civilization is very stable. And so a sane civilization thinks on the very, very far future. Not in 1,000 years, not in million years. A sane civilization thinks even in billions of years. And there's a problem. Sun will increase energy output, and in 800 million years, it's too hot for plants here. The CO2 cycle to be produced, CO2, and then split again by the plants in carbon and oxygen, will break down, and this would be the end of life here. But what thinks a sane civilization about it? Oh, let's move Earth a little bit more away from the sun. When there's more energy output, we determine where is the best position for Earth, and we change Earth's orbit. These are the thoughts of a sane civilization. Very far in the future. We care about what happens very far in the future. And humanity should be developed in this direction to be a sane civilization. We have only some steps for this: energy transition to renewable energy, planet renovation to reduce CO2 to 350 ppm in the atmosphere, and after this we have a stability. We can start to deal with problems in the far, far future. Then we have worldwide wealth, and we can afford everything, because we have maybe 10 billion people, and these are all wealthy people. That is our future, and not this horror fantasy novel from 1972. This was another video from Roland Mösel, founder of Planetary Engineering Group Earth, and as always, like, comment, subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I make my next video.